All right, moving right along here, we have, another Kohberger topic.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to talk about tonight is the money, the moolah. So, did you know that Moscow, Idaho was having financial trouble prior to the murders?
No way. I didn't know that.
So, they were going to increase their property taxes by 3% because they said they were on a very lean budget already. They needed to update some things in the city's infrastructure, and they needed more money for the police department. So, Moscow murders happen.
No way.
And they claim that it has been extremely expensive to carry out this investigation, that they are struggling, they're short of staff. But from what I was reading, actually, I guess they have to pay overtime, but having less staff means less salaries.
Yeah.
So, and they're short a half a dozen, so 6 officers total, I think.
You know, they just added a drug dog, too. That's something that I probably should have...
They did add a canine unit recently.
We just weren't focused on the Moscow-specific drugs as much as the main hub in Washington. But yes.
Mm-hmm. So, before the killings, the police department alone cost $7.2 million.
Do you think the dog gets a salary?
I don't know.
This is the dog.
$7.2 million, Moscow officials told ABC News, several $100,000 more than the $6.9 in property taxes brought in. It's the largest chunk of Moscow's funding for basic government services, more than a third of their general fund expenditures, according to the city budget reports. A third of all of their total general fund expenditures, the city. A third. Do you know that's not normal?
I didn't know that, no.
So I started looking into it, and I was like, how much? That sounds like a lot to put a third of all of the local cities' money into the police specifically, not counting court,
Well...
jails, just police?
Let me think about this a little bit more, because I've worked with a lot of government and city buildings when it comes to wireless and all that stuff. And I know that I have worked with and stopped at multiple very small cities where you go to City Hall and it's 3 people, okay? Mm-hmm. Literally. 3 people working in a building that's as small as my mom's basement here. And you have a front desk person, you have a city official that handles all the regulations and everything, then you have the city mayor.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I guess in a situation like that, maybe?
I really don't know.
How many police officers do they have?
I have
I'll look it up.
I have that number here somewhere.
Because I know in the Idaho4...
36 positions.
Oh, wow.
They currently have 27 sworn and certified officers.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
For that size of a town or county.
Yep.
Okay.
So...
wow.
Let's see. The total population is... Okay. Home to the emergency occurred... Okay, as of 2021, it had 25,850. The student body is 11,507. So literally half of the census is college.
That comes and goes.
Yeah. Now, when the murders happened, 40% of the students didn't want to come back.
I know.
40. This is a huge financial blow to have 40% of your students, that's about a fourth of the entire population of this place, roughly, super rough. don't want to come back.
I know.
That is super bad for business. So they have, I have some articles here pulled up where they, people that live there, some officials are talking about what it's like post-pandemic, inflation. They were struggling with money. Then this murder happened, and now they're like super struggling. Like I said, businesses, like they were having a really hard time. Well, the governor decided to allocate $1 million from the Idaho Emergency Fund to help cover costs of the investigation. We do not have a breakdown of how that is spent at all. We have no idea. Then the university decided to also request $1 million for security. Whoa. And it got granted. So the university came out with a breakdown of how they're going to spend the money, and the Idaho State Police also, they didn't give a good breakdown the way the university did, but they said this is what we're going to spend it on. But the local and FBI have both said they won't say anything because it goes against the sealed stuff for the case. Sure. So I don't really understand why the state police could do it, but not the FBI or the local.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. But yeah, the ISP, Idaho State Police, said they spent $280,000 on travel, overtime, lab testing, storage of evidence, and other police work. They said they're spending everything out of pocket until they get the money from the state.
Wow. So it sounds like literally that entire city is having money issues right now. See, I knew about the money stuff. I've seen the breakdown for the school and how sketchy that breakdown is, in my opinion.
We're going to pull it up.
Yeah, I haven't seen the police one, but I didn't realize the school was actually in financial issue area, I didn't know about that.
I don't know about the school. All I know is about local government is saying that their budget, they were having a hard time, and they got granted $1 million, and the university got granted $1 million, which is separate.
And the prosecution has been granted like $300K or something like that, which is wild. When
it's a lot.
I think do you know what the average prosecution cost is? If I'm remembering correct, I think it's like $15,000, okay? So you're granted almost $300,000, $250,000, and the average prosecution cost is $15,000.
So the typical death penalty trial costs nearly $1.3 million.
No, that's for total everything. That's not just prosecution. That's totaling investigation and everything. This money was granted directly just to the prosecution, the prosecutor. So I'm pretty sure I looked this up to verify the Crime Circus video that talked about the prosecutor's costs being normally $15,000, but now we are at over $250,000. So there is money flooding in from the state in all directions with this thing.
Yeah, interesting.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So, is there a benefit to keep this thing going?
I don't know. That's the question. Is they were struggling with money beforehand. They're claiming that this investigation has put strain on their finances. Yet we have $2 million and more granted to this town.
Yeah.
So are they actually going under, or are they profiting?
Yeah, I wonder. And the last thing I ever want to do is any of our topics to sound like conspiracy, because I feel like we do a really, really good job trying to bring logic to any of these questions. And, cities and schools are businesses. That's what they are. They have to be able to manage their books. They have to be able to manage their money and their payroll and everything that's just like any corporate business out there. And it's interesting to think that they could be bringing in more money with this trial going on than if it wasn't.
I know. You got me. It also says the governor stepped in with roughly $93,000 reimbursement for public information expenses, overtime, security costs, electronic data storage. Like, there's just money being thrown around everywhere. And I get it. An investigation takes money. You know, court takes money. Police officers got to be paid. Like, I get it. But it just seems like, I don't know, it seems excessive almost. I don't know. It
seems excessive when I've looked at the money spent at the school. That's what seemed excessive to me. We'll get to that.
Now, I guess it goes a bit far to say that state and local governments are colluding. I don't know that there's a collusion there. I that's not really the route I'm going. But like, I don't know. There's just question marks, okay? It's just question marks.
In corporate America, in corporate America, a lot of companies are trying really hard to break this, okay? That's just the best way that I can align how a city works, how a school works, how whatever, as with, like, corporate America, okay? And in corporate America, there are unspoken rules, and this is what this makes me think of. So, no, I don't think there's the city colluding with the school, colluding with the police chief and police officers. No, I think there are unspoken rules that all of them know what's going on. They know where money's coming from, how it's coming in, how they can say that they need certain money in their paperwork to show that, hey, you know, if you give us more money, I think it's realistic that we could land this conviction, okay? Or the school saying, hey, we're in deep shit because 40% of our students, our customer base, is not wanting to return because they don't feel safe. We're being told that women don't walk around by themselves without a man. We're having people that are wanting to graduate early to get the hell out of here. Like, these are all major concerns, okay? And they're asking for money to fulfill it.
Yeah, and the police department works close with the university. They have someone dedicated, an officer that's a liaison,
like
and
consultants,
and has their own like office, like little thing in the school.
Yeah,
the police department operates in the school.
Yep.
So I don't know. Take that how you may. But we'll pull up. We will pull up right here the this itemized receipt, I guess, that the university released, and it shows that Idaho State Police plus meals plus lodging is $158,771. Third-party security through 5/15/2023, $108,000. Yeah, I'm not going to say all the little numbers. UI increase in security through 5/15 is $166,000. Consultants, comprehensive campus physical security review and plan, $212,000. Someone to talk, to literally just talk. That's what consulting is. Just talking.
112. Now, okay, so my next question before you even say that next line there is, are the consultants, the security consultants, from the police department?
Don't know. See, also, consultants comprehensive security policy review and plan, $259,000. Crisis media consultants, $23,000. The majority of this money was spent on consultants.
That's 260. That's 460, 475. Yeah.
How much?
Well, just that consultant alone is $475. When you take into the state police lodging and stuff, you're at 4, 5, 6, and then like 650, almost 700 grand.
That's insane.
It is crazy.
And I get it was supposed to be for security, but I don't know.
see cameras. I don't see metal detectors. I don't see what do schools have? Those emergency buttons. I don't see any of those things, which is what I would feel like would make an area safer.
So then you have the vigil, okay, $12,000. They said included in the vigil was security, equipment, mental health professionals to be on site, and event materials. Then, which I have that written down per a statement that where they were talking about it. Then security technology is $28,000.
And that seems so low to me.
It seems low to me too, because they literally have a shuttle now. They made a shuttle bus for the students to help them safely and securely get on and off campus.
Yeah, but
and be shuttled around the campus.
If I'm talking about security technology, that is really expensive stuff. It's not uncommon for a really high quality camera with audio, video, and maybe a light, so that if it's somewhere at night and there's some kind of activity going on, somebody can engage a light or whatever. And it can move
360 or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be uncommon for those cameras to be over $1,000 a pop for really nice ones, because you also have to run a power source to it. You also have to run an audio video cable to it, to wherever these screens are for the officers and or security guards to be monitoring these things, okay? That's really expensive.
Mm-hmm. Compared to how much in consulting?
Yeah, I would expect the security technology number and the consulting at the comprehensive security review and plan to be flipped.
Absolutely.
I would expect $250,000 on security technology, new softwares, new screens, new cameras, new alert buttons, whatever, dude.
And student lodging and meals is $1,400. Counseling and crisis support $2,700, coming to a total of $999,307. It just seems odd.
For releasing the consultant information. That's what I call for. Release that.
That's the easiest way to hide what actually happened to the money. The easiest and most, like...
Yeah, or it is a consultant that is a buddy. It could totally be that too. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. If they're doing their job consulting, okay, fine. That's fine. Like, this happens in politics. This happens in corporate America. This is why you have a monopoly on the concrete industry by the mob in New York. For decades and decades and decades, the mob had a monopoly on all the concrete industry companies. So all these buildings and construction companies had to go through these mob guys to get concrete at their sites. So they started inflating the numbers, blowing it up. So these guys were paying outrageous costs, and then these same construction companies weren't allowed to go anywhere else. Now, they were buddy-buddy with the owners of the construction company. So they're charging outrageous amount, then the construction company's charging the customer an outrageous amount, and they're both pocketing insane numbers. Like, these things happen, okay? It's part of the U.S. and how corporate America works. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying anything about it. It is what it is, okay? But in this situation, wouldn't the students' lives be priority one?
Yeah.
That's where it messes me up.
Yeah, and
I better be able to go to that school and every 10 steps see a new camera. There better be cameras in the parking lot. There better be cameras in the hallways. There better be cameras outside the buildings. There better be cameras in the opening the door to the bathroom, not in the bathroom, but to it. Like, there should be cameras everywhere with 24-hour security, eyes on the screen. If that dude needs to go to the bathroom, someone needs to come release him to go to the bathroom. Like, with a maybe killer still on the loose, this is what I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Kohberger hasn't been convicted yet.
I know.
Oh, it's so frustrating, you guys.
I know it. I find it interesting, and it's like, it's no secret that cities and towns get a lot of revenue from court proceedings, fines and fees, court fees and stuff like that. All of that goes right back into the city for them to pay for things. So,
yeah,
just saying.
After paying the judge and prosecutor and everything like that. And from my understanding, like prosecutors and defense attorneys and everything, they don't get paid very much when they're working those jobs. Being a standalone attorney on your own is always much more profitable.
I just think my main question with all of this is the city is having financial trouble. They have this killer on the loose, and 40% of students don't want to come back to this town. They're literally fleeing for their lives, terrified. They're scared about money. So obviously they're going to want to find this guy as quickly as possible to say, we got the killer off the streets. You can come back now.
Yes, that's a good
you know,
question.
You have there's a lot of LLCs that own the rental houses around the campus for students to live in. You have, you know, basically all of the businesses. It's like tourism, like when you have tourist businesses, like all these little restaurants, bars, shops, stores, they need those college kids to stay afloat, because when they're not there, they don't have much.
Yes.
It's a tiny town without the university.
This is something I just thought of right now. As long as they have Kohberger as their guy, they have the ability to see the light at the end of the tunnel, okay? So I would hope, you guys, that they're still investigating other potential people out there, okay? And if they're not, which I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. If they're not, then they're not dumping money into that investigation still, meaning they should be able to come up with a rough total of what the investigation costs by having all these people involved, by running all these tests, by the additional hours and everything else that came with it, right? So they should be able to have a rough number coming to the table saying, this investigation cost $1.5 million. The only foreseeable cost that we see is for the prosecution and the judge, which will be an additional $15,000, right? If Bryan Kohberger gets let off, what happens to the investigation? They go back to it.
Yeah.
They go back to it, you guys. Meaning that light at the end of the tunnel disappears again. That's it. It's gone. They have no idea how much it's going to cost to come up with the new potential killer. They're going to be dumping funds right back into it. The school is going to be at a risk because all of a sudden they're going to not know who the killer is. A killer is still out there. The police didn't do a good job. There is going to be such a lack of faith. Now, you guys tell me, where is the accountability and how are they not invested in making sure Kohberger stays where he's at?
Yeah, because, I mean,
there's too much loss that can occur.
There's too much loss for Kohberger not being the guy. They've committed to it, and they have to see it through.
They've gone too far, which could have been a mistake right from the beginning.
Yeah, I think just like I was saying earlier with the JonBenet Ramsey case, you have all of this evidence, and depending on how you interpret it, you can make it really seem like probable that it was the parents, or you can make it really seem probable it was this homeless guy or this Santa, Bill Reynolds guy. Like there's so many ways you could spin it and make it seem like it really, was the older brother. And then you take a step back and you're like, well, I don't know if it really fits any of them. We're missing a huge piece of this. And the Kohberger case is sealed. Like, they can't even release the breakdown of all the financial stuff because of the Kohberger case being sealed.
Yep.
And I just think it's a bit odd that the police take a third of the expenditure in this local government.
It's surprising, but I would just need to see the head count of employees to understand it, okay? And I think that could be explainable in that situation. I just would need to see how many people they have at City Hall and what kind of city workers they have running around working on that city. And I think it could be explainable because it sounds like they have quite a few police officers under them. And those are not tiny salaries. They aren't huge, but they aren't tiny either. You know, they're an acceptable income.
They're in a college town, but this is not a big town. This is a small town. And this is their total budget, okay? It's 35% is just police.
Yeah.
Just police.
No, I get that. I think that it's not that far off, though, depending on how many people are at City Hall and the city workers and everything like that. So the biggest highlight for me is the fact that the school could have been having financial issues. The city could have been having financial issues, and they
it sounds like because they're spending too much on the police. 2023 they spent $7 million so far the fiscal year.
I don't know.
That's what
I think
they're
we should dig
estimating.
further into it. I just know that the financial issues are what stand out to me because there is now proof. You were just able to show proof that there is financial gain here. Okay, there's financial gain in Kohberger being and staying the guy.
Yep.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah, I'll link this. This is from the city, their budget. If anybody is curious,
We'll attach it to the bottom of this video, so just look for it in the comments, and you'll be able to pull it up from there. But this is good evidence, man, because money matters in any major situation, and there is now drug potentially that we covered already, and money. Do you guys trust the school's expenditure breakdown on the $1 million grant they got? Do you guys
with the
700,000
consulting fees or something crazy?
I'm in the wrong profession. Jeez.
I know. I want to be a consultant.
I just need to go around from college to college and review their safety plans, and I get paid $250K a pop. Bam.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. Let's do it. But yeah, let us know what you think, man, because that...
Yeah, let us know if you think there's anything really here.
That seems doubtful.
Yeah, if you have question marks too, if you know more about it in particular, because, man, let me tell you, like, information isn't super easy to find on it. Like, it's hush-hush, it's sealed, so...
It is. It is.
I don't know.
That was some good information for sure, so...